Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. No change to the original plan. However, there is something that is holding up the markets even better, and that is the Fed, Jerome Powell, saying that we are going to end QE. End QT, quantitative tightening. So here we go. Fed's Powell may be approaching the end of the balance sheet contraction in the coming months. So this is basically saying that they are going to be starting quantitative easing, which usually has a large effect on the market. If we go look at, where did I put up the chart? Here we go. You can add WALCL, which is the Federal Reserve balance sheet. And you can see that when it is contracting, coming down, as soon as that stopped happening, this was kind of the bottom of the market. Now, this could take months. So unfortunately, this may mean that we have to wait till after this cycle is over, as you know, or if you've been watching the channel, you know that the 4-year cycle is almost over for Bitcoin. I'll show you that real quick. Here we go. Here is the logarithmic chart for Bitcoin, and these red lines, vertical lines, are the halving. And basically every 4 years, we have a top, we have a bottom, and we kind of oscillate in this band eternally until we break out of it, until we either break below or above it, and that has not happened yet. So I was predicting that the top would be about right now in this time frame, and we'd top out about 218,000. Clearly, we are well below that right now. Gold is running, and usually after gold starts to level out, maybe some of that liquidity will come into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and we're kind of just waiting for the liquidity and the Fed to go to QE, quantitative easing. So they're just basically put more money into the system by purchasing assets, and that allows assets to go up in price. And they'll also potentially do some printing if we get into a recession here. So we're kind of like threading the needle here in terms of completing this bull market, and then basically before we get a recession, then we'll see printing and a big, large asset pump out of the printing. So that's kind of how these 4-year cycles work. And the liquidity and QE is part of that. So hopefully that is going to, there was a big reaction in the market. I wouldn't say that big, but there was definitely a reaction in the market. And right now you do see altcoins doing a little bit better, right? So Ethereum divided by Bitcoin. Let me clean up this chart a little bit here. You can see it pulled back to the bull market support band, and now it's basically right where it was before the crash. So this whole unfortunate thing is this massive liquidation event happened right before the Fed announced that they're going to be basically ending quantitative tightening and eventually starting quantitative easing. Kind of funny how that works, right? Basically liquidates everyone on Earth, and then the Fed's like, oh, guess what? We're going to start quantitative easing, which usually means that altcoins tend to do better. Now, it does take time, which is, you know, the unfortunate part about this. So if I go to like total 3 minus USDC minus USDT divided by Bitcoin, basically the strength of altcoins here, you can see they hit the range lows with a big wick. And as this is slowing down, again, if we draw a line right here, this is when quantitative tightening ended in 2019. And then you can see the price did go up, and basically didn't only go up only because clearly in 2020 we had the pandemic, which caused a big flash crash. But I think without that flash crash happening, we would have just kind of seen this. Now, again, this takes time to play out, right? So this happened in 2019, and then the top was 2021, 2022, right? So maybe this is going to be for the next bull market. As I said, we're getting close to the end of the market if the 4-year cycle continues to play out. So if that continues to play out, we may see this happen, but it may not be till next time. Now, I still think, of course, even regardless, it's still going to be a completion of this market. I still think we have much higher to go. That is still my base case. I have no reason to change that. We are right now continuing to flirt with the bull market support band. So we will see what happens over the next coming 2 months, really, because usually if the 4-year cycle is intact, we are going to have the next 2 months be extremely bullish. So all we're waiting is for Bitcoin to go up, make a new all-time high, ETH to go up, make a new all-time high, and then most altcoins will perform very well after that happens. We need durable highs above the all-time high. Because lately what's happened is every time we get to a new all-time high, let me clean this chart up a little bit. Every time we get to a new all-time high, basically it gets sold off. You know, Binance does a lot of selling, market makers do a lot of selling, and you know, old whales come out of nowhere and start selling. So every time we get into a new all-time high, it sells off. All-time high, sell off. All-time high, sell off. All-time high. So we've kind of just been struggling to durably break above it. Another thing is these trend lines right here have been kind of showing resistance, right? So yeah, but we have the pi cycle top indicator, which has indicated both of these tops way up here at like 200,000. So maybe we're just waiting for some very large news, something like I don't know, US Bitcoin strategic reserve or something that we're purchasing. I don't know, revaluing gold to do that. Now, the US government is trying to seize $15 billion worth of Bitcoin from some pig butchering scam based in Cambodia. So this is more Bitcoin for the strategic reserve. And it seems like potentially Binance is kind of changing the price after the fact. So originally it said Atom went to 0.001 and then Atom now says 1.46 at the bottom. So that's kind of garbage because a lot of people got liquidated because of those prices, right? So your account's liquidated and they said, oh, just kidding, let's just go change this. So it's like, are they changing like the Oracle database? Or I don't even know how they would even change that. But you can see there's a lot of speculation. I don't know. I mean, this is just a screenshot. I don't even trade on Binance that much because Binance has been known to dump the price, and they even, you know, send Sol to their market maker to dump the price of Solana because it's a competing asset to their Binance coin. You can see that all on the charts and all in the blockchain because it's all public, right? And they have zero proof of reserves for Solana, meaning they own zero Solana. So you would assume that means that they're sending user funds to liquidate their own users. They're a off-seas crypto exchange, so there really is no US regulations that have any bearing on them. So also centralized exchanges saw significant asset outflows over the past week, with Binance experiencing the largest at $22 billion of inflows. Didn't that say outflows? Outflows. This says inflows. Asset transparency inflows. I don't know that that's did he get this wrong? Anyways, I would think people were moving their money off Binance, but this does. Oh yeah, inflows are down, so that'd be outflows. It's negative. Okay, there you go. Sorry, it's early in the morning. Okay, makes sense. Inflows are down 20 million, meaning there's 20 billion, not million, 20 billion of outflows. Makes sense. You can see Coinbase not even on here. Okay, Coinbase not even on here. So Coinbase not even on here. Interesting. And Bitunix, my favorite exchange, look at it, they're green. Cool. So affiliate link below for Bitunix. They have been a great exchange, and I do leverage trade on Bitunix and I buy spot. It is very low fees, especially compared to like Coinbase. I have an affiliate link for Coinbase too. If you trust them more and want to use them, feel free. But it's also no KYC for Bitunix. So yeah, that's kind of my base case here. Is that I feel like I'm a broken record here saying it repeatedly, but I do think we are going to continue to pump, and I do not think the bull market is over. So right now, altcoins are showing strength against Bitcoin. That makes sense because, you know, we had this massive liquidation event where alts did not show strength against Bitcoin. And to me, it seems a little bit fishy that this huge liquidation event happens right before the historic strongest months in cryptocurrency, right? The Q4 of the post-halving year is usually the strongest quarter of all of the bull markets for these 4-year cycles. You know, the post-halving year. So was the halving year was last year. So post-halving year Q4, best returns ever. And then this massive liquidation event happens. And then right before also the Fed says they're going to start ending quantitative tightening. Now, the stock market, what do we got going on? It's trying to get back into new all-time highs. It's at 666 right now for SPY. We do kind of have this line right here that could act as resistance. So the real question is going to be what happens when we get to here. However, a lot of the Bitcoin miners, Ethereum, Bitmine, emergent technologies, this one had a big pullback because Ethereum had, you know, a larger pullback than Bitcoin did. However, it's starting to recover right now. If we go to a lot of these other ones, CLSK, new all-time high. Hive, trying to make a new all-time high. Riot, trying to make a new all-time high. IREN, new all-time high. Bitfarms, new all-time high. They announced something with AI, of course, so that's going to rocket their price. I have a huge position in Bitfarms that I got down here at 86 cents, so that's pretty sweet. Pretty stoked about that. Mara, trying to make a new all-time high. Really cycle high, not all-time high, right? So if you go back in some of these, if I clean this up here and go to weekly, you can see some of these have been much higher, right? So Mara, I mean, was all the way up at $231 at one point. Bitfarms, the high is up at basically $10 on the dot. Wow, $10 to the penny. Yeah, $10 to the penny. Everyone sold on the first pump up. So we could potentially go right back up there. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be you know, a cool 1,000% for my Bitfarms position. That'd be pretty sweet. Mara, as I said, going up. Coinbase, a little bit of a pullback through this, and then, you know, as an exchange, not a miner and strategic reserve company, Coinbase is, you know, obviously an exchange. So they did have a pullback because of, maybe partly because of the liquidations and people saying, you know, what's going on? I'm going to move my money off exchanges. I don't know, you know, speculation there, but CEP, some of these other ones not doing too good. I have some of the Litecoin treasury companies that have been accumulating at these really low levels because I think they're going to do very well. Luxfolio, Litz is another one. You can see the price action way down here. This price was $1,500. Now it's $2. So good entries on these two Litecoin treasury companies if you want to add there. Wolf, etc. So stock market looking good. If you just go check like Microsoft, they're holding near all-time highs. If we check like Tesla, for example, holding near all-time highs. So a lot of these are holding up very good. I think I'm going to add some Costco at this point. I like Costco as a just a place to shop, and the Camel Finance Indicator saying we're near a daily cycle low. This has been a good performer, especially even in recessions. So this was another one that I will probably just add to my long-term account because I like Costco, and they've usually done pretty well in recessions. And I do think we are still coming towards a recession sometime here in the near future. Amazon, you know, holding their all-time highs. Nvidia holding their all-time highs. Pre-market up highs. So looking good in the stock market. I think crypto will continue to move to the upside, and that's going to be it for the video. Just wanted to talk about a couple pieces of news, and the Fed there trying to finally end the quantitative tightening. That's what we've been waiting for, you know. But if you go look at the chart, really, again, that takes time to play out, right? It takes time to play out, and we've had a big bull market. Even like if I go to like total 2, for example, we had a big bull market right here, even with quantitative. I guess this was actually just nothing right here. So from 2014 to 2017, we really just had no quantitative easing or tightening. It was just kind of a standard balance sheet. And then we started the quantitative tightening, which I guess slowed down the market then. So it's like really the quantitative tightening definitely slows it down. But I mean, if we say that, and then look at this right here, right? So it was quantitative tightening, but the price was going up. So does this matter as much as people think? I don't know. I don't really know that it does. However, for altcoins, it does. I mean, this is altcoins, right? So this is total market cap excluding Bitcoin. If we go to total 2 ES or total 3 ES, for example, you kind of see the same thing, right? So it's kind of interesting because total 3 has been going up, but quantitative tightening has been going, you know, stronger down. So anyways, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Have a great day, everyone. And again, affiliate links below if you want to try those out. That's the best way to support the channel. Oh, and this is the M2 money supply on the bottom, by the way. So it kind of looks very similar to quantitative tightening because that's what happens, right? So see you guys. Bye.